Synergy on Record, Alex Biggs. Take one of many.
One of many. Welcome to episode 2 of Synergy on Record. I'm Tawnya, Synergy Labs Marketing Manager, and today I am joined by one of my absolute favorites, Alex Biggs. Don't blush. Our partner lead here at Synergy Lab.
Thanks, Tawnya. Thank you. My pleasure to be here.
Thanks for joining us. We know that you're just as excited as we are about the official launch of Synergy on Record.
Yep.
So we thought it was only fitting to get Alex in the studio. What do you think?
It's pretty amazing, actually. I can't believe we've whipped it up in the office here. We've got a professional little podcast space. It's awesome.
Alex is being very kind with that response because prior to the cameras rolling, I think he used the term Mickey Mouse. So what you're seeing looks awesome, but behind the camera, we're just not going to go there today. But it was funny. Alex used that term, and he turned to me and he said, "That's a very Canadian thing. You can tell by his accent. He's not originally from here." So. Cool little fun fact, Mickey Mouse originated in North America, apparently.
Yep.
Speaking of fun facts, I remember our first one-on-one, you and I had chatted virtually, and one of the questions you'd asked me was whether I liked pineapple on my pizza, which we all know can be a very controversial question, depending who you ask. I feel like it wasn't controversial for me, but I don't think that I got your take on it. So before we dive in, I thought it might be interesting to...
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's an emphatic no, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
I can't remember what your response was.
I'm like, I'll eat it. It's not something that I would order, but if it's on there, sure.
You're not as extreme about it as I am.
No, definitely not an emphatic no. Another interesting fact, though, pineapple on pizza or Hawaiian pizza actually originated in Canada by a Greek immigrant that came here back in 1954.
Interesting. I learned recently that Toronto was also the birthplace of sushi pizza. So apparently pizza edits are something Canadians love.
Yeah. I mean, they're a staple in everybody's, especially when kids are around, like just throw a pizza on the table and everybody will be quiet for half an hour, which is what parents strive for, right? So, okay, let's get down to business a little bit. As partner lead, maybe let's give watchers some insight just into what your role entails, what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, sure. So I am in charge of basically finding us new partners, immigration professionals, other businesses who are operating in the immigration landscape that makes sense for us to do business with, for us to have connections with, ultimately to help businesses and people come to Canada.
So you're dealing with our partners or potential partners on a daily basis. What kind of things are they asking you? What do they want to know about Synergy Lab?
Yeah, so they are often really curious about how we work with our partners, how we work with RCACs and immigration lawyers. Often I get questions around, what sort of innovation we are looking for, what really defines innovation within these business ideas. We have a globalization team who help with that, so I won't kind of dive into too many of those details there. But those are the main sort of things I'd say that people are really curious about is, the way in which we're operating in the landscape. And also, how that relates to the potential companies that they've worked with before or the ones that they might have coming through the pipeline.
Interesting. So, our partners are such a huge part of our business and really allow us to operate the way that we need to operate. And we partner with them, hopefully, to make their lives and their clients' lives easier. When you meet with these potential partners, are they expressing any challenges that they're having that they're looking to have solved?
Definitely. So one of the things that I come up against a lot of the time when I'm talking to other immigration professionals, RCACs and immigration lawyers is there is I'd say a healthy degree of skepticism in the industry when it comes to not just other bad actors, but there's also some, sometimes there's even designated organizations who aren't necessarily doing things the way they should be done. So there's like I said, a healthy degree of skepticism from a lot of potential partners out there, and even from some of our existing partners, which is par for the course in some ways. Just in immigration, you've got to be really mindful of the fact that there are people out there who aren't necessarily doing things the right way. And that's also why, the partnerships that we have and that cornerstone of trust is really key in what we do. Because again, it's one of the sort of differentiating things that we have, and the fact that we're attached to, Spark and that we've got a huge amount of community inroad to give some of them a little bit more understanding of, where we've come from and how we operate. Again, a little bit differently to the ways that some of the other places do.
Sure. Speaking of where we come from, we kind of touched on it earlier that Alex is not originally from Canada. He came over from New Zealand, and I just love your story of how you kind of chose to discover Canada and your journey coming here. So maybe let's speak a little bit to that.
So I have family in Canada. So my dad grew up in a small town in Ontario on the border of Michigan called Sarnia, in Chemical Valley. His family moved there from the Falkland Islands, so they were immigrants to Canada as well. So I've always had somewhat of a connection to Canada. It's quite common for people in New Zealand to go on overseas experiences, and I just, basically every single one of my friends is currently in the UK, but I thought I would do something a little bit different and connect with some of the family over here and explore Canada. So here I am.
Well, we're so glad you're here.
Me too.
Coming from New Zealand to Canada and kind of creating this life here, you have a career here, you have a home. Do you find that experience helps you relate to the people that you're speaking to on a daily basis?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think as well because so many of our partners themselves are immigrants. So many of the immigration professionals we work with are also immigrants. I'd say the vast majority are. Just understanding, and for me, I didn't have as many barriers as a lot of them even had coming to Canada. Basic things like, finding a place to live, finding a job, that can be extremely stressful. And I was really fortunate that I had somewhat of a network here, and I had some family here, even though they weren't in the same city. There was a little bit, but it really, it's given me a massive amount of appreciation for just how hard and just how much hard work it takes to be able to succeed when you're basically starting your life anew in a new place, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I haven't been there, but I've heard the stories, and definitely comes with its challenges. So I can imagine that does help you relate, which is awesome, especially for somebody in a role like yours. So that's great. So I took it upon myself to do a little research, aka Googling, about New Zealand. I wanted to, learn a little bit more about you. So I've come across some fun facts that I just kind of want you to verify or not. So the first one that caught my attention was interesting. I read that for every resident in New Zealand, there are 5 sheep.
Yeah, that's probably true.
There's lots of sheep in New
Yes,
Zealand.
there's a lot of sheep. Yeah.
Are they just like roaming around on the street, or?
No, we don't treat them the same way as kind of cows in India. No, it's they're just farmed for wool and for lamb.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one I read, and I didn't dive too deep into this, it was just a high level look at some fun facts. So I'm going to be embarrassed if I'm wrong, but I read that New Zealanders are referred to as Kiwis.
Yep. Kiwis. Yep.
Like the fruit?
No, like the bird.
Oh, like the bird.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a kiwi bird.
Yeah, it's a native bird. I'm pretty sure it's the biggest flightless bird in the country. Sorry, no. In the world, I think it's the biggest flightless bird. No, that's not true. That's not true. That's definitely incorrect.
Okay.
But it's a flightless bird. It's quite unique in that it's got the biggest ratio of like egg to body size. They're unusual animals in that they're because there's no real predators in New Zealand. Their defense mechanism is literally to lie down and play dead. So we're very, very protective of Kiwis in New Zealand, and because there's been a lot of just environmentally, it's a small island. It's very, very sensitive to pests. It's something that I think is very ingrained in all of New Zealanders as a kind of appreciation for the ecology that's there.
Interesting. You learn something new every day. I'm glad that I learned something, but I am kind of embarrassed because this was your this was your thank you gift for attending today's podcast.
Amazing. Kiwi fruit. Yeah.
I hope you like kiwis.
I like kiwi fruit. Yeah, okay. I like kiwi fruit.
Well, there's 6 for you to take home
Amazing.
today.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoy them. That's funny. I also read or just kind of assumed that New Zealanders are a little competitive. Is that by nature, maybe?
I'm not sure. I'd say yes, we're competitive, but New Zealanders are also go out of their way, I think, a lot of the time to really try and be humble.
That's nice.
I think there's I mean, there's it can be good and can be somewhat bad in some ways. I think
Sure.
there's a kind of confidence that North Americans have that is actually really refreshing and is really nice to be around in a lot of ways. But I think we're a small place, so it's kind of naturally, I think it breeds competition in some ways too.
Are you personally competitive?
No, I'm the most easygoing person in the world. No, I mean, I have my moments, but
Interesting.
I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a super competitive person. I'd say I'm more of a team player.
So you're not as competitive as, say, a Canadian?
Maybe not, no.
Oh, okay.
Do you think Canadians are competitive?
Well, personally speaking, I am very competitive. Of course, I love to be a team player. I work at Synergy Lab, and we have a great team atmosphere, but I love a little good competition. So this kind of led me down a rabbit hole through my Google research, and I started reading about the Commonwealth Games, which I asked Alex in advance if he was familiar with the Commonwealth Games, and he was. So we thought it would be fun to do like, a little in-house comm games challenge to really put the competitive nature to test.
Okay.
So have you ever heard of the game show Minute to Win It?
No.
You're missing out. Okay, so you taught me about kiwis. I'm going to teach you about Minute to Win It. Nick, can I have these cookies? Okay, so cookies. We're going to play a game called the Cookie Face Challenge. I have to admit I'm going to have a leg up on you because this is my go-to anytime that I'm hosting a family gathering.
Okay.
So just to give you an idea of what Minute to Win It is, you have 60 seconds on the clock to complete a challenge. Within that 60 seconds, you have as many tries as you'd like to complete it. But at the end, the fastest time wins. So, I mean, I'll probably win because I've
It's rigged is why. That's what she's saying. It's set up.
No, I've done it so many times. I'm just really good, So the way that the cookie challenge goes is we start each with a maple leaf cookie. Go Canada. Put it on our forehead. Okay. And you need to use nothing but your face to guide it into your mouth.
Okay. Yeah.
So like I said, unlimited tries in 60 seconds. At the end, Nick, behind the scenes, is going to tell us who won. And yeah, you've already got the prize of 6 kiwis, but if I win, I'll be happy with the title.
Okay.
So let's place the cookies on our forehead, and Nick, just let us know when we're ready.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
No.
No.
Where'd my cookie go?
Oh, Alex is close.
Wow.
30 seconds remain.
Oh no, it touched my mouth.
No, it's falling in my pocket.
That doesn't count.
Wow, these are like expert level cookies.
Oh no! This is not going well for Team Canada. Sorry, guys.
Time.
Oh. Dang it. Okay, well, that didn't pan out as well as we thought it might, but we're going to defer to Nick behind the scenes here to declare a winner.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Let's get your review on the cookie face challenge.
I mean, it was fun. It wasn't what I was expecting. When you said, let's sit down and we'll talk about Synergy Lab, I wasn't expecting to eat a cookie off my own face, but
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, you know, the one thing that I love about Synergy is that we offer this white glove service, high level of professionalism to our clients, but we also are not afraid to have fun, obviously. I don't know how we transition from having cookies on our face to going back to business, but here we are. What's your favorite thing about working here?
I think it's probably very similar to what a lot of other people have said, but it is being a kind of small piece of the puzzle in this ultimate journey for entrepreneurs and for people that are starting their whole new lives up in a new place is really awesome. It's such a rewarding thing to be a part of, and it's also it's a unique place in that there aren't many places where you get that kind of social benefit coupled with real kind of cutting edge entrepreneurial business. It's kind of like a really nice mix of two things. I think that I really appreciate working here. Yeah, and the people are okay too.
Yeah. Depends who you talk to. I'm just kidding. I love that answer. Just out of curiosity, does the workplace, in your opinion, differ much from New Zealand to Canada?
In some ways, yes, but in some ways, no. And I think with all of the remote work that people have been doing lately, and all of the lessons that we learned from 2020, 2021, I think it's probably more homogenized than it was 20 years ago. Yeah. I think the differences are probably cultural in general more than they are workplace specific, if that makes sense. I think that, like I said, I think there is definitely a kind of confidence in North Americans that translates over to business. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that necessarily changes the way that people are doing business overall. Yeah.
I think that's a good answer. I mean, one of the things that is very obvious, especially when it comes to our clients, is that when they're thinking about bringing their business or immigrating to Canada, there's going to be cultural nuances. There's going to be some level of differences, and that's not something that we shy away from. In fact, we educate on it in our programs, and I think that it's really important to talk about. And I think that your answer is a perfect way to talk about it. It's the balance, right? There are differences. Just lost a panel off the wall there. Mickey Mouse.
Those cookies are really good though. Those maple leaf cookies, they actually slap.
Oh, but I had such a nice little monologue thing. So let's finish on one last thought. If you had one piece of advice for somebody who is living in another country but interested in coming to Canada, whether they were an entrepreneur or not, what's one piece of advice that you would have for them?
It's a good question. Do it would be the first bit of advice. Just go ahead and even if you don't like it, even if it's you learn that it's something you don't like, it still can be a worthwhile experience. You still can get something out of that too. And the other piece I'd say is really do as much research on where you might potentially want to live before you come over. And see if you can, if you need to, see if you can find somewhere that you can sublet for 4 or 5 weeks where you kind of get on your feet and that's the practical advice. But I think number one would just be, go ahead and do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
It's a Nike commercial.
Do it. Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this lovely, fun chat. Thank you all for tuning in. If you would like to stay up to date on upcoming video podcasts or anything that's happening within the Synergy Lab team, please make sure that you're following us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and any other social media profiles, platforms that you can find us on. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. And if you want to connect, come find me on LinkedIn. I'll be there.
That too. Thanks. Take care.
Bye.